welcome. So in this video, we are going to do our Python certification PCAP mock examination. So the format of exam is we will have 40 questions in 65 minutes to solve, and there'll be multiple choice question. 70% score is the passing score, which means you have to do at least 28 correct, else you might have to retake it. So without any further delay, let's get started. My name is Prem Asim Jain, and please like the video if you like it and subscribe the channel. So let's get started. Question number one is choose the correct output of the following code. We have been given two classes, class A and class B. Class B is subclass of class A. And now we have to print these objects. So what would be the output? We have been given the options. Let's see. So class B, we have an instructor which is calling the class A instructor, and it has a class variable or a static variable which is num. So a dot num is equal to num plus 1. Now you have to, yeah, you can use this construct as well. So the static variable value will be changed, and then this will return the value of class A. Now in class B, it is not doing anything. As soon as you call class B, it would call class A, and class A will increment the variable num in here. So the value of A and B has to be 1 and 2, and the value of 3 would be 3. So it should be 1, 2, and 3. This should be the correct answer. Let's try to run this because underscore string has been overridden for A, and that's not been done for B. So when you're trying to print B, technically B should give you the address and not the value. Let's try to run this. Yep. So the answer we picked up is correct. Now the question is B. So B got the string implementation from the subclass. So these are standard methods. Once you override them, they are pretty much available. If you would comment out this, then you would see only the class names and not the actual implementation. So all good. Let's move on to second question. Choose the correct statement from the following. So we are trying to print the output in the format with 7 digits, and we have got 555.55 is same as the output of. So we need to pick few values here. So let's pick this and this. Which among the following code when executes result 24 as output? So here first precedence goes to the floor operator, which will make it 5 times 3 15 plus 9 24, but this will be an integer value. Second one would print 24. Third one, actually fourth one would print that, and also third. So these are the three values. We can always check it from here. So 10 dot o, and then we are taking the floor value multiply by 3 plus 9 24. So we were right there. Now instead of 10, if we make the denominator, the deal is if you have any float in the equation, everything would get float. If you don't have float, but if you have division, it will give the number as a decimal point, which is float. So that's why our answer is correct here. Choose the correct statement regarding the following code. We have a car class with the constructor which is setting up the price and a private variable number of seats. And what we are doing is in the details we are printing the price and the number of seats. And this also has a nested class which is class A, which doesn't have any implementation, so it says has. Now we instantiated the object and we are trying to print object.details. So as soon as we do that, this is supposed to print the price and number of seats. So this code will raise an error because the private variable number of seat is accessed outside constructor. That's not true. The code will work fine and print the following as output. This is what more likely I think. The code will work fine and does not print anything. Yes, the reason, when we are calling the detail method, we do not have the uh, brackets. So this won't even call anything. Before picking this answer, let's run it. If the file contains 3 lines, what will be the output of the following code? So it would not print anything because this would move the pointer 3 lines below. We have already called it 3 times. So fourth pointer won't do anything. The code will work fine but does not print any values. Consider the following code is returned in test underscore a dot py. We have 3 kind of variables over there. Consider the following code is returned in B. So we are trying to import everything from here. And when we print, first value would get printed. Third would give the problem for sure. And second can be printed from the object or the subclass. Since this is not the subclass, this should give the access problem. Now choose the correct statement from the following when file is executed. A will work fine and print A. That's true. B will work fine and print B. Not true. B will raise error and C will raise error. Let's check it out real quick. So I am going to put this code in here and then I am going to import it over here. This would be from bin1, import everything. Let's try to run it. So A got printed as we expected. B has given us the issue and so does the C. So how come C? This would give trouble here. C. So good, we solved it right. Now fill in the blank so that the below code will print 3 oranges without any space. So A is equal to whatever here. So 3, if you will pass 3 in int, it's going to give number, and int and string can't be concatenated. So you will get error. If you do str3, this might work. So, yep. Which of the following will raise syntax error? So this guy, because you see the quotes and the single quote, both are allowed in Python, but not the tilde sign. I mean, this is not tilde, this is kind of some weird sign. Fill in the blank so that below code will print Java. You have the literal Java, which is assigned to a variable small, and then big is empty. You're trying to loop over small, which would essentially run it 4 times, each character at a time. And you are trying to print it or assign it here, which is fine. And ORDI, for J, the code is 106, and for capital J it is 74. So essentially you might have to subtract some value from 106 to make it 74. How much would be the difference? 84, 94, 104, 5, 6, 32. So minus 32 would be answer. And there we go. Choose the correct output of the following code. Certified associate in Python programming. We are trying to split it by I. So what this split does is, on any text, if you do split by whatever the symbol is, it would remove that symbol, and it would create or give you a list of the remaining portion. So that's what we are going to have here, and we are going to print it in a single sequence with a empty space filled. So wherever you will see I, that would be basically removed, and rest all you will find here in the single line. I can show you the execution as well here. So that's how it is. Consider the following code is written in test1.py file. So here you have a protected variable list, and then you have constructor which is initializing the list, and then iterating over it for all even numbers. It is going to divide and reassign it to make it half. Now consider the following code. You have subclassed it, which is fine, and then you want to print the list by two ways. First is you are trying to import and you're trying to call it directly. So second might give you trouble. First should be good. Yep, so the answer we picked up, that was correct. So let's move on. Choose the correct output of the following. We did math function and we want to do the floor value. Floor value, there are two things. One is floor and one is ceiling. Floor value is the bottom one, which will be the 5, and the ceiling value would be the upper one. So in -5, when it becomes negative, the floor value would be -6. Choose the correct output of the following code. You have print and then accept, else finally everything looks good. So you would go print hello, no error in the code finally. Choose the correct output. So it would be a list of list. So it should look something like this here. Sys.txt contained a text welcome. Then what will be the text present in the file after execution of this code? So you are doing it in append mode, which means it won't overwrite whatever is the return, but it would add it after that. So this should be the answer. Choose the correct output. If 10 is not equal to 10, which is false, and opposite of false is true. So this would go as true. And then this would go as false in boolean. False and true is false. But there won't be any output because there is no print statement here. But in case if there is any print statement, and if you're wondering, it would be what we imagined as false. Which among the following are the correct way to delete the length attribute from the box? So you could do object.length. So you need to delete, you could do this object.length, and then there is something which is called as delete attribute. You can name the object and then the name of the attribute. You can do the class name because this is not a static variable. Which among the following can also be used to create a variable? Cannot be used to create a variable. In cannot be used because it's a keyword. Because if you do for x in range something, right? So in is not used. Choose the correct output of the following code. You have car speed, boost speed. In boost speed, you have a local variable result. You're multiplying 10 times the car speed to the result and returning it. And you're printing car dot boost speed because this is a class method or a static method. This is a static method actually. So yeah, it's simple. It would just multiply 10 times with the speed of car, which is 100. And I don't see any issue why it shouldn't work. Choose the correct output of the following code. You have a set and you're trying to print the set. Set would remove the duplicate values. So you will see 0, 1, 4, 6. Choose the correct output of the following code. You have tuple 1 and you have multiple tuples. You are trying to add tuple and assign it to third, which should be good. And when you are trying to combine a tuple, you will get another tuple. So this should be 134. So please make sure you are not modifying the existing tuple, but you are trying to add two tuples, which is a valid construct. So this is a valid construct, it worked fine, but there is a glitch. They haven't given the comma. And once you try to pass a tuple with single value or no value without a comma, it takes it as an integer. Just make sure for the single you tuple, you should have a comma. That's a Pythonic thing. Fill in the blanks so that below code prints language is Python. You have a language class with constructor assigning Java to the name. Whenever you call me, it would print the name of the language. So you are supposed to change the attribute in the line, uh, and there are some ways. First is object.name is Python. This is correct way. Second is set attribute. So you have to set it at the level of instance, not the level of class. So set attr object and then object's attribute and the literal or the value of that variable. Choose the correct output of the following code. Try print hello finally. This is a valid construct. With try, if you don't have any except, would it work? It should. Choose the correct output of the following. I have x50 and I am calculating it. I changed the scope of the variable, made it global, assigned it a new value, print the calculation inside, and then called this function again and called the exact same value one more time to do the printing. So both these values should be same. Now question is what would those value be? So those value would be 20 times 2, which is 40, 40 plus 5, 45 minus 9, 36. Choose the correct output of the following. You have I, then you are trying to do 0014 is equal to 2. So you're trying to do a mod on 0, which could be octa number, and as soon as this division is equal to 0, it would go with incrementing it and then print 1. So this is the breaking thing and you are trying to increment. Of course the value is 6 and it should go up to whatever the value of this is. That's where it would break. So let's see what this value is. This value is 12. So as soon as it would get 12 here, it would break and print 12. Of course the value could be 2 among these. So since this is octadecimal number, this will be 12. Which among the following operator has the highest precedence? Of course it's the exponential. Choose the correct output of the following code. You have a parent class which has the age defined. and then returning the age. Child class, which is calling the parent, setting a age, hard coded age, and then again reassigning the value in the age, minus 55 minus whatever is the age, and you have child age here. So what would be the value? Now the value would be same because this value of like the variable name or the identifier is same, which is self.age. So as soon as you try to print the parent age, it would grab this same value, whatever the value is here. So 55 minus 25, 30. So both ages should be 30. 25, 35, 45, 55. Choose the correct output of the following code. You have A, B. In A, you have initialized, and you're trying to print the type, which should of course be a class. And then here B, you're printing the type, and this should be the type of B. Why? Because the constructor is invoked from here, and this is calling that constructor. So it would implicitly pass that same value of the subclass. Choose the correct output of the following code. You're just concatenating. So it will be 6214 and the class would be string. Choose the correct way to call the constructor explicitly. First is you can always call the object and the init method. Implicitly the self would be passed. Second is you can call it on the class name and pass the object by yourself. Choose the correct output from below. You have ABC with multiple and multi-level inheritance, and now you are trying to print the bases. So the base for the C would be B and A. For B would be A, and for A it would be object. So this should be the correct. Choose the correct statement. Below is the example of single inheritance. This is multiple inheritance. Also it is yeah, it is multiple inheritance. This is multi-level inheritance. This is hierarchical inheritance. The below is an example of hybrid because first this is multiple inheritance, second is it is multi-level inheritance, third it is also hierarchical inheritance. So it is multiple, multi-level, hierarchical, and single as well. Everything. So that's why we call it as hybrid. What is the output of the following program? You have top speed with map and three values. Now you're doing a for key value in top speed dot items. You're iterating over this and trying to print the key and the value with a space. This is a very simple, it's a low hanging fruit actually. So first thing this will, so the answer is all of above. Technically it should be in a sequence in Python 3, but before, okay, this would run in 3.6. So this is ordered dictionary in 3.6. Before that it was unordered. So no matter how many times you run this, it would give the same result. Choose the correct output. You have speed, you're printing. This is a set. Now inside this set, so all of these, because this is unordered, but after Python 6 3.6, this would always yield the ordered dictionary. Like JSON, there is no order defined, but now I guess they are trying to define the order everywhere. Fill in the blanks, so below code will print 2 3. You have a parent and a child which inherits. Parent has defined a variable with value 2, and then you are defining value b, created the object and printing object dot a and b. So a should be 2 and then b should be 3. Now you have to call the super class so that this can get instantiated. That is what all you need to do. So you have ways to do that. First is this, second is this, but wait, if you call it by this way, it would do the same thing. Yeah, but if you call it by this way, it would create another parent object. So it would break the hierarchy here, and then it won't instantiate the value to, and you will start running into errors. Let me show you what I meant. If you have parent dot init and self, so this is a special method. It might be called or applied, but usually any underscore underscore variable or method can be called anywhere outside the hierarchy. So that's what it did. But what you can do is you can do super as well, and this would give this. You don't need self here because when you do super, it would be implicitly passed. So it would print this. But if you print parent here, this would work fine, but it will create another object. So that's where the attribute A won't be available. Choose the correct output of the following code. You have math.ceiling. Ceiling value is the upper value, it would be 6. So you would see output as 6. This is just like the floor value. You can grab the ceiling value here. Ceiling is the upper value, or the next integer close to that. Now factorial doesn't take the decimal value. So it's a number, but it's a value error because 4.0 would be fine, but not 4.5. Floats are being taken, but if range is not proper, that's where you get the error. What is the correct output of the following code? You have class A as add object. You're trying to add A and B in the self, and you're trying to return. So here the problem is these are two numbers, and once you add it, you have to convert it in string, which you're not doing. So this would give you the error. But if you do str over here, it should all be fine. How many except statement can we put below the try block? We can put as many as we want. Do not consider the default except block for calculation. We can always duplicate the except statements. Choose the correct output of the following code. You have class student and you have a variable. So what would be the correct output? So you have constructor with three values. Third value are assigning it to the static variable class. That can be done. Now you instantiated Mia. It is supposed to get three values, which it did: name, roll number, and the class 10th. And now you're trying to print the dictionary. So in this dictionary, it won't print the class level value because you're printing the dictionary on the object. That is why it didn't print. But if you print this dictionary on the class, it would print this class variable. So that's where the difference comes in. So yeah, we finished it way before. We got 65 minutes for 40 questions, and we finished 40 questions in less than 40 minutes. So that's a good speed, which means 1 minute per question. We can always review all the questions, and I hope we might get 85 to 90%. So let's check our result. Yes, we got 87%. We got 35. We passed this exam. Congratulations. So let's review the questions which weren't correct, incorrect answers. First was the print statement. This third was also correct actually. And they are trying to explain it here. The output of the below could help us understand. So you are trying to print it in the digits. This one is no output. This was bit ambiguous because we tried false, but since there is no print statement, this shouldn't print anything. But that's fine. We solved it right, and I also explained you that not basically negates the value. If it is false, zero, or empty string, or empty array, choose the incorrect answer. Yeah, so here there was a comma missing, that is why. So we also discussed this. Basically the integer and the tuple cannot be concatenated, and when you have one element in the tuple, it is considered as whatever the element data type is here. So you have to put a comma. That is what being explained here. Otherwise it would be integer class and not the tuple. Yeah, this is the one. Basically, I was saying the same thing, that first it will be object, then it will be A, and then it will be B and A for the basis. And this one, since they asked for 3.6, it could be all of the above. But we ran it and it always comes in the same sequence, like in an ordered fashion. Dictionaries are unordered till Python. 3.6, but from 3.7 dictionaries are ordered, and the Python interpreter I am running is 3.7 actually, 3.8 actually. So that's why it's always ordered. So, guys, congratulations for practicing and passing this exam. And I hope you guys would leave your honest feedback, and whatever you want to ask more about Python certification, please leave the comment. Thank you. My name is Premasim Jain, and see you later in the next video in the next mock exam.